Welcome back to Hobby Jogger Elite. My name is Connor, and welcome as well to the second episode of my marathon build series. I don't have any fancy name for this series. It's just, we're running a marathon in November. So if you didn't catch the first episode, feel free to check out the marathon playlist on my channel, or it's probably recommended somewhere on one of these menus, one of these sides. But essentially, this is week 2 of my marathon build, my marathon training block. Last week, of course, was week 1, and we got off to a really awesome start that I was, really happy with a couple of cool key sessions, a nice beefy 18-mile long run workout. And this week, I would say, was a bit more of the same in a very good way, a very sort of consistent, continuing to build that foundation type of way. And I wouldn't say that it didn't come without some adversity, which we all love, right? We all love when the odds are stacked against us. If you also live in the Northeast portion of the United States, you are likely experiencing the exact same conditions that I am right now, where if you are even an early riser who wakes up at 5:30 a.m. to hopefully get out the door for your run at like 6:30 a.m., it's already like 80 degrees, 100% humidity in the morning. It was pretty much just that during a good portion of this week, and pretty much every day for the second half of this week. As a marathon runner, as somebody who does like a little bit higher volume than say someone who might be like recreationally training for a 5K, the conditions being that hot and humid on a consistent basis is just like less fun and less conducive to getting in like good, hard, fast training. But I don't think it deterred me too much, which is a testament to a lot of the hard workouts I've done throughout the summer for my previous 5Ks, and hopefully a sign of like improved mental toughness, because there are definitely times in past years, in past training blocks, when you're out there doing, an 18-mile marathon workout with a lot of stuff at pace, and it's 80 degrees, it's so incredibly humid, you're soaked from head to toe in sweat, you're out of all the fluids and gels you brought on your long run, you just want to quit. I didn't do that, and I'm proud that I didn't do that for either of my 2 quality sessions. So just to sort of review, the way I'm doing this series for the marathon is I'm gonna sort of hone in on at least one key session each week. This week is just another single session that I took the camera out for and got some footage for. That was my early week workout, which was some threshold work, definitely a fulfilling yet tough workout that felt really good to sort of bank another brick stacked in the foundation. Other than that sort of featured workout, I'll just sort of run through what I did throughout the week on Strava. And if you're interested in following along on Strava, sort of seeing these workouts, these sessions, these runs in general, before I talk about them in the videos, you can find the link to my Strava down in the description below. So I started off this week, as I do a lot of Mondays, with a 10-mile easy run. This was 2 days removed from my long run workout from last week. I was feeling pretty fresh, feeling good, just over 10 miles at 7:47 average pace, hour and 18 minutes out there on the roads. Ran this one in the Asics Nova Blast 3. They are kind of that perfect shoe for like a easy, medium length run at like an easy to steady pace. And yeah, this was definitely an easy run that I felt very good on. I started around 8:31 pace, and like I said in last week's episode, I definitely like feel myself already like it's only week 2 and I sort of have those like marathon legs already, where it takes a good 1, 2, even 3 miles to like feel my stride sort of open up, even if I'm doing stretching activation before I go out on the run. And by the end, I found myself in a good rhythm, was running down in the 720s at a pretty relatively low heart rate for what that effort has sort of historically been for me. So definitely good signs of like really good fitness already in this marathon training block. I also did a strength and mobility session that day, definitely adding on some more to my strength and mobility sessions. I don't know if I'll upload, like a full follow along video of what my strength and mobility session looks like, the same way I did for my core session that I do like 3 or 4 times a week. I do the strength and mobility session like a solid 3 or 4 times as well. But yeah, just sort of adding more onto it, trying to target some areas I've felt a little bit weaker in as of late. And, my hamstrings have always been an issue towards the end of the marathon. But with some of the speeder stuff lately, I feel like another weakness that has been revealed to me is like my abductors, like the muscle that's like right at your groin, like your upper inner thigh. And I don't know if that's like running laps or running loops in the same direction and like pushing off with my right leg too many times in the same way. So I'm trying to alleviate that, do some strength, mobility, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Tuesday was my session in the featured session of the week, which we will get to at the end of this video, but it was a 3x2 mile threshold workout, just sort of bang on at 90 minutes, a little over 12 miles for that day. I'll save the details of that for the actual footage of this workout, but yeah, felt good out there. It was a hot morning. Anytime you are sort of like targeting a specific effort pace that is based on like effort level or heart rate and heat and humidity sort of come into the fold, it's usually a good idea or like recommended. A lot of people think you should like back off the pace a little bit. I'm just kind of stubborn, and if the conditions are what they are, I'm gonna kind of like get after it anyway, because I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll find out, but I thought it was a pretty good workout. Followed that up with some core right after that on Tuesday in the afternoon, and then Wednesday hit another 10-mile easy run. And yeah, this one definitely was a bit more consistent throughout. Did that one in the New Balance More E4, which is a shoe that just sort of like forces me to slow down a little bit because it just is not built for speed. Also did my strength and mobility that day. Thursday, I hit another easy effort run because I knew due to some scheduling, due to a wedding that I attended on Friday afternoon and like a post-wedding brunch that I had to go to on Saturday morning, I had to adjust my schedule. That's why I did my threshold workout so early in the week on Tuesday, which meant I had to do my long run on Friday, which is always a weird feeling, like you're not even at the weekend yet and you're doing your long run. So the day before on Thursday, got out there for about an hour of work, just a little over 7 miles, kept it nice and easy in the Saucony Speed 3s, which crested 500 miles for me. Look out for Saucony Speed 3 500 plus mile review very soon. And then the next day, I hit my long run. This was another long run workout. I don't always open like a marathon training block with 2 straight long runs that have like structure and workouts within them. Sometimes it's good to just sort of like work up to the distance a little bit, but I've been consistently running 15 to 17 mile long runs pretty much all year, so like I don't have to take a ton of time to build up to 18, 19, 20 miles, and that has certainly been the case. And when I only do one sort of like speed session during the weekdays, I typically like to include some quality like at pace work on that long run on the weekend, just to make sure I'm getting in like a minimum of 2, and usually right at 2 workouts or sessions where I have paces that are faster than like easy, moderate, or steady pace. So that is what I did. It was a 7 miles easy, 8 miles at marathon effort, and 3 miles cool down type of long run, totaling to 2 hours and 15 minutes, 18 miles, average pace of just under 7:30. But this one was all about that sort of marathon effort section. This was the hottest day of the week. The night before, on Thursday, it had crept up to like almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit in my area. So I knew I was kind of in for it the next morning. Woke up on Friday morning, like right after 5 a.m. It was like 5:15 a.m. Checked the weather immediately. It was like 80 degrees and 100% humidity already, or almost 80 degrees and 100% humidity. So I just knew that it was smarter to sort of take it out at an effort rather than an exact pace for those 8 marathon miles. And yeah, from the start, as soon as I stepped out the door and was like a mile in, it was one of those very humid runs where if you are like a sunglass wearer for your runs and it's so humid out that your sunglasses are just like fogging up, like you can't even wear them. It was one of those types of runs. It wasn't from like the heat coming off of me or the sweat. It was literally the air was so thick with moisture that my glasses were fogging up. That's never a great sign when you're only like a mile or 2 into your warm-up. But regardless, we gutted through it. I wanted to take 3 gels on this run, but I only ended up taking 2 because I sort of forced myself to get out the door early. And when you do that, you sort of compromise some like settling, some digestion, so to speak. And I didn't want to have an accident on my hands. So went with 2 gels instead of 3. Also managed to get down 20 ounces in a full serving of Science and Sport electrolyte mix. So still got in a good amount of nutrition over the course of those 18 miles, but took the first couple miles easy, above 8-minute pace, and then sort of worked down closer to a steady pace into the 720s for those that last and 7th easy mile. And I got right into the 8 marathon effort miles, which I did on, it's like a little over a mile loop, and it is like pretty hilly. And I wanted to, again, sort of know what it feels like to approximate sort of like a consistent pace with undulations in like inconsistent terrain, not just like running flat like you would on a treadmill or a track or like a super flat route. I want to get those sort of like marathon effort miles on some undulating rolling hills, just to, make sure I'm conditioning my legs and sort of strengthening them a bit. And surprisingly enough, I was kind of where I think my marathon effort is at, like on a good day, during this. And it was so bloody humid and hot. And I was like looking down at my heart rate, and it was pretty much where I expected it to be at this point in the training block. Thought it was going to be a lot worse due to the conditions, but first marathon effort mile was 6:35. Second one was 6:35. Third one was 6:39. Fourth one was 6:36. Fifth one was 6:34. Sixth one was 6:37. Seventh one was 6:38. And eighth one was 6:41. Had to stop for a stop sign on the last 8th mile, and that definitely slowed me down a little bit because I was in pretty good momentum and like knew that it was my final marathon effort mile. So wanted to keep everything sub 6:40. Ended up just over it at 6:41 for that 8th mile, but felt good, felt smooth throughout. Ran this one in the ASICS Super Blasts, and they felt up to the task, which is definitely exciting to, be able to put out this kind of work, this kind of production in like a non-plated, non-super shoe. If you haven't even referred to the Super Blast as a non-super shoe, feels like a super shoe without a plate. But hopefully, this is like a great sign that paces in the 6:30s were feeling very like marathon effort-esque to me at this point. And I didn't feel like I bit off more than I could chew. And the sort of heart rate and effort level, even in that super hot conditions, it's definitely good feedback for a run like that. And then closed it out with 3 miles, just nice and easy, back to the homestead. So that was a great run to get in. And then for Saturday and Sunday, Saturday after the brunch for the post-wedding celebrations, my fiance and I, Lauren, headed to Fenwick Island, just outside of Ocean City, with the family to get in a little bit of beach trip. So just did a nice easy run before we sort of hit the road there. So not a ton to report on there. Felt fine enough. You're never going to feel perfect the day after an 18-mile marathon workout. Then Sunday was just another easy run, as I had a sort of like another schedule adjustment for the following week and would be working out on Monday. Made sure to get those 2 easy runs on Saturday and Sunday. So that is the week 2 of marathon training. I will put my total weekly mileage for this week up there, the total time, elevation gain, all of that good stuff. Overall, I am proud of the way I battled through this terrible heat. And I feel like I am making strides, both like physical fitness wise, but like also mental fitness wise. So without further ado, let's take a look at the featured workout for this week, the 3x2 mile threshold workout that I did on Tuesday. Good morning, everyone. We are just about ready to get going for today's workout, today's session. It is another threshold workout. You'll find that a lot of the workouts in this sort of like beginning portion of the marathon training block are going to be either based on like goal marathon race pace or threshold pace. Not a ton of VO2 max stuff early on. That will definitely come a little bit later in the training block, but today's session was originally supposed to be pretty similar to last week's long run workout, just sort of like in a condensed fashion. Instead of that 3 miles threshold, 60 minutes steady, 2 miles threshold, it was 3 miles threshold, 2-minute rest, and then 2 miles threshold. But wanted to sort of get a little bit more mileage in the threshold range and break it up a little bit differently. So instead today we're going to do 3 miles easy, 3 by 2 miles at threshold pace, and cool down to 12 miles. So pretty even on the warm up and the cool down there. Coros currently, based on my running fitness prediction, which definitely altered a little bit with these past 2 5K races that I did over the course of the summer, has me at 6:02 a mile for threshold, and my threshold heart rate at 177 beats per minute, which I think is a little hot for threshold. It is a very warm, humid morning outside already. It's not even 7 a.m. yet. We are going to probably go out a little bit cooler than that, maybe around 6:05, 6:06, 6:07 for that first 2 mile rep, sort of see what the heart rate is saying, what the effort feels like in this early morning heat and humidity, and sort of judge what it's going to look like going from there on those second 2 mile reps. So yeah, excited to get into this one. When conditions already aren't ideal this early in the morning, it's that time of the summer. It's when you pull out your favorite shoes to work out in. So we're rocking the Adios Pro 3s today. Hopefully they help get the job done. Got the most lightweight and breathable singlet, half tights combo that I own, the Lululemon Fast and Free singlet and half tights. This is the first time I've tried these half tights on. They're like a combination of, I'd say, the Tracksmith Reggie tights and the John G Groundwork tights. More storage, but still that very lightweight, comfortable fabric. So eager to see how they feel. I do have 2 gels with me. One of the salted watermelon goos and then one of the berry pomegranate Huma gels. One thing I haven't prioritized in past training blocks is sort of fueling while training on anything outside of long runs. So I want to make sure even on some of these longer workouts, I'm still kind of getting acclimated to taking in gels, taking in nutrition, getting my gut used to that. All right, 3 miles of warm up done, about an average of 8:15 a mile. Went out nice and easy, nice and slow. Wouldn't say I feel tremendous today, but wouldn't say I feel terrible. Stomach's a little bit questionable, but that's all right. Don't know if I'll be taking those 2 gels, but some movement here, some activation before we get into these 2 mile reps at threshold. The camera battery has dramatically dropped since leaving for this run, whether that's due to the heat or being in my pocket. So gonna be efficient, economical with the footage here today. Probably not a ton of scenic B-roll or action shots. So let's get into these reps. Whew. 2 mile rep number 1, ran it in 12:02. Ran on the dot 6:01 for both of the miles in that 2 mile rep. So very nice. Got 3 minutes of rest, probably walk half of it here, and then jog the last half. So 90-second walk, 90-second jog, and we'll get into the second rep. Heart rate definitely started to heat up a little bit on that second mile, but nothing crazy, nothing out of threshold zone. I would say I still averaged in the 160s for that rep, so can't complain. Almost the exact same there. 6:01 a mile, 12:03 for the rep. So did the whole thing within 1 second of the first. Man, Adios Pro 3s feel great. There's an inner liner on these Lululemon tights, but for once they are not the bane of my existence, and I don't hate it. So these are great tight for speed work, I would imagine for long runs as well, considering all the storage. So we have another 2.5 minutes of recovery here. Might go ahead and just do a walking recovery for this whole thing. Might just jog the last minute and a half, but yeah, it is hot. I am dripping with sweat, as you can see here. It's a rough one. Oh, I'm digging so hard on this last one. Oh, this is tough. $12:07 for that second 2 mile rep, 6:03 a mile. Oh, it's so hot and humid. I was dying in the second mile of that final 2 mile rep. Thank God it is over. We are currently sitting at 9.5 miles on the day. I am drenched in sweat. Gonna cool down 2.5 miles to get to 12 for the day. I went 12:01, 12:01, 12:07 for those 2 mile reps. And those, in the context of workout, not a race, probably the best 2 mile reps I've ever had. So I've never repped 2 mile reps, pretty much 6 flat pace. So a very hot, humid morning like this, that gets me super excited to see what we're capable of in, 3.5 months, almost 4 full months in the early part of November for this marathon. So good signs early. Love that threshold work.